Infinite intelligence. What I've done is I've taken a handful of quotes from Neville Goddard, Charles Haanel, and Napoleon Hill, and I want to discuss the concept of infinite intelligence. This video is for anybody that is looking to create what they desire. We have the ability to work with the power of God. The power of God being infinite intelligence. It is the intelligence that created everything in reality. It is the intelligence that will continue to always, forever and ever, with world without end, create in reality and see through our own eyes the manifestations of what we imagine in our mind. Awareness is all that exists for you. All that you are aware of exists, and that is done in your imagination. We have either been consciously instilling in our mind what we desire to create, or we have been allowing five sensory data plus meaning to recreate the same scenarios over and over again. This is the difference between, we could call it, being awake or being asleep. Being awake is to be conscious, and conscious being relative, as in consciousness keeps rising. So we become then more awake. What does this mean, to become more awake? To become more awake is to recognize that the external world is a reflection of the inner world. The external world, five sensory data and meaning, is not the world that is in control. We have control of the world in the mind. By changing the way we think, changing our beliefs, imagining reality to be a certain way, the external world materializes accordingly. And in the Bible it says, "As you believe, so it shall be done unto you." The external world materializes according to our beliefs. For many years, we'd walk around believing that the external world is happening to us. In other words, the external world is shaping us. And while in some degree it does, we have the power to now shape the external world via the sixth sense, which is the imagination. To do this, the recognition of this and the ability to consciously work with this allows you to tap into a concept called infinite intelligence. Again, in the Bible, it says, "If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth." All things are possible represent infinite intelligence. And to believe all things are possible, we have to first believe it in our mind and be convinced without any doubts, indecisions, and fears surrounding the beliefs. Everything that you create in the world, whether consciously or subconsciously, is a net result of belief systems. And so what we do is we evolve our belief systems. We evolve our ideologies. We look at five sensory data and the meaning we acquire through the five senses and question the meaning. We don't have to accept the meaning. We say, is this meaning harmonious to that what I desire to create? Is it harmonious? If it's not harmonious, we can release it. We can acquire, we can create new meaning from within via the sixth sense, via the imagination, and that is left to the power of infinite intelligence. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a desired outcome, one that you want to create, a lot of times you might not know how to create it. But if we rely on five sensory data and meaning, we might see limitation. So by relying on the belief that it will be done unto us in some shape or form, we call upon the power of infinite intelligence. Intelligence that we might not have consciously accessed before. So one way of looking at this is the recognition that we have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind being infinite intelligence, the power of God. The superconscious mind has been there before your conscious awareness of being born into this world, and it will always exist. The subconscious mind is this mind that you have, which is a net result of accumulated information that you have had throughout your life. And this can be empowering information or disempowering information. This is data picked up via the five senses and sometimes the sixth sense, as well as meaning assigned to this data. That's in the subconscious mind. Many of us who are asleep or predominantly asleep will continuously recreate the past, thinking that we have control of our reality, but in actuality, we are being regenerated from our past. Past circumstances create the kind of success that we have or lack thereof. Past circumstances, experiences, information with people, environment creates the current reality. This would be recreating it from the past. This is not working with the power of infinite intelligence that goes beyond creating with known knowledge that has been accumulated in the subconscious mind. Now we have a conscious mind that directs towards a specific worthwhile ideal, that what we desire to create, a goal, a vision, a definite chief aim, something that we consciously decide. Now, when we consciously decide upon something, we have the ability to work what is within our subconscious mind, or what is within the mind of infinite intelligence, which is the superconscious mind, or a combination of both. Now, the ability to work with this requires us to cleanse our subconscious mind from limiting belief systems that denies us the connection to infinite intelligence. We start to question and we start to experience different scenarios where we actually have synchronicities and miraculous ways of bringing forth what we desire. And through these experiences, we form new belief systems that allows us to understand the relationship, again, it's a conceptual one, between the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious being infinite intelligence. The more we have, the greater ability, or the more ability we have to tap into infinite intelligence, the most unexpected ways we are able to draw upon unseen forces and ways of creating that what we desire in methodologies that we have never consciously or subconsciously discovered before. That is the power of infinite intelligence. I was introduced to the concept of infinite intelligence through Think and Grow Rich in 2004 by Napoleon Hill. At that point, my goal was to get out of $50,000 debt. That was it. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I will recognize, when reflecting back now, that I was attracting various opportunities that increased my income and reduced my expenses that finally brought me through the state or the experience in reality of being debt-free, not having that $50,000 debt. Now, reflecting back on this, I would say that I did a whole bunch of things with my subconscious mind, my conscious mind, and I also started tapping into the power of infinite intelligence because I had no idea how I was going to bring it forth, but some way, somehow, opportunities showed up, and then I seized those opportunities to bring forth the results. So that right there is the component of infinite intelligence. Now, the next thing I realized is that by creating another definite chief aim and bringing it forth, as stated in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, you would learn and build a deeper connection with the sixth sense. He said, sixth sense can only be understood by those that have mastered the previous principles, which is essentially setting a goal and committing to achieving the goal and realizing the power that within you is the connection to infinite intelligence. So as I kept bringing forth my definite chief aim, I realized that I am able to now tap into knowledge, expertise, wisdom that I have never accessed before because I believe it to be so using the power of my imagination. And then I started to graduate into higher consciousness ways of thinking to bring forth my results. Used to think that it required physical force. Then I transcended that, and I thought it required emotional force, and I started to transcend that, and I thought it required mental force and mental games, and I transcended that, and eventually got to a state where I recognized that if I imagine in my mind that it will be brought forth, which is the concepts from Neville Goddard, it does get brought forth through the bridge of incidents in some shape or form. Sometimes I'm doing things, sometimes I'm not. But I will notice that a lot of times the way it's brought forth goes beyond any explanation of what I can explain to you right now, but I know it will be brought forth, and that right there is the power of infinite intelligence. So Neville Goddard says, I will now tell you the truth. Power took me to a stand in the presence of the risen Lord, where in the human form divine, he embraced me and incorporated me into his body of infinite love. Wearing his body of love, I stood before Almighty God, who said, time to act, and then I was sent back into this world to tell the story of God as the infinite power of the human imagination. So infinite intelligence is found in the human imagination. The ability to tap into infinite intelligence is found in the imagination. It is faith and belief in the imagination and holding it as priority, even if five sensory data denies it, that allows you to tap into the mystical power of infinite intelligence. It is found in the imagination, and that is the infinite power of God. He says, infinite power resides in your imagination. You could be in prison and imagine yourself free, believing in the reality of your imaginal act, it would make no difference to you how you are released. But when it happens, you will find yourself where you imagined you were. You have tested and recognized the infinite power you are, imagining you set yourself free, and when God sets you free, you are free indeed. So you have no idea how it's going to happen, but you believe it's going to happen. And throughout your journey, you remove limiting beliefs that deny the fact that it's going to happen. And as you believe, so it shall be done unto you. Now, during the journey, one of my favorite things to do is reflect back and realize, am I recreating my past, or am I living in my imagination? Am I believing it to be so, or am I denying it through 5 sensory data that I'm experiencing it in the external world as a result of past recreations from my subconscious mind, or past experiences in my subconscious mind that are now recreating itself as denial elements that I assume to be fact? If I change the meaning to this different 5 sensory data through revision techniques, timeline regression, subconscious mind reconditioning, what happens? Well, I'll tell you what happens. From my experience, what I found is that I no longer see, and it's no longer within my awareness. 5 sensory data does not give me the information that denies, or perhaps it does, and I don't have the same meaning to it, that denies my imagination. And as a result of honoring the imagination above the 5 sensory data that denies it, it some way, somehow, through the bridge of incidence, is brought forth. So we don't need to know how it's going to be brought forth when we're working with the power of infinite intelligence. We just have to know it is going to be brought forth. If we want to know how, then we're working with the conscious mind and perhaps some of the subconscious mind. But if you are not interested in how, you just know it is going to happen, then you are tapping into the power of infinite intelligence. We are told you are sons of the Most High, all of you, not just a few, but all of us. Nevertheless, you will die like men and fall into infinite states of consciousness, for states are that into which the sons of the Most High fall. A state is an attitude of mind, a state of experience, with a body of beliefs which you live by. Always express a state you identify yourself with by saying, I am poor, or I am rich, I am known, or I am unknown, I am wanted, or I am unwanted. I could go on indefinitely because there are infinite states into which an individual son of the Most High may fall. So everything exists right now, has always existed, and always will exist. There's an infinite possibility for any different kind of circumstance or experience that you could possibly imagine. It exists right now. And what we're doing is we're moving into different states of mind that reflect it into the external world. Now, this concept took me a while to grasp. As I mentioned, I started this journey in 2004, and I just kept following it, and working it by creating my definite chief aim, that what I desire to create, and bringing it forth, continuously bringing it forth. Now, as a result of bringing forth what I desire to create, I realized that I also am learning how this works. And one of the things I realized how it works is that the bridge of incidence of how it shows up appears like frames, like I'm going into one screen, and then I end up in the end result. What are these frames? Well, these are the infinite states of mind. And the infinite states of mind represent itself in the external world as a picture. So in other words, the external world is a mirror, and the state of mind reflects the mirror. And to the degree that I can hold on to the picture in my imagination and believe it to be so, the state of mind will be reflected in the external world as so. Faster and faster as I remove limiting beliefs that make me believe that the bridge of incidence will appear to show up a certain way. Because remember, as you believe, so it shall be done unto you. So states of mind within allow us to express outwards to the infinite states of what already exists. What already exists can be made possible or enabled via the imagination as believing that it is, and then we end up in that state, which represents itself in the external world. And there's infinite states, and there is no limitation. As again stated in the Bible, all things are possible to him that believeth. Therefore, all things are possible, and there are infinite states already created, and as you believe in your mind, you will end up in that state no matter what 5 sensories-based data and information will deny. So infinite possibilities exist in reality, and there are infinite ways of bringing forth that infinite possibility or desired outcome in reality, and that is left to the power of infinite intelligence, because perhaps you can't consciously or subconsciously explain how to do it. You might be able to, after you've created, use a few guidelines, but the truth is this: working with the power of infinite intelligence and having faith in infinite intelligence and believing in the power of infinite intelligence will bring it forth in the most mystical ways possible, in the most efficient ways possible, and this is something you're going to tap into anyways as you create what you desire. How do you get out of a state? Through belief. You must believe in the doctrine. You are told, whatever you desire, believe you have received it, and you will. The precept of Christ must be accepted literally, for they will be fulfilled literally. Can you believe the precept that believing you have already received your desire will bring it forth in your world? If so, then tonight you can change the things that are happening in your world. And if you can believe and persuade yourself that things are as you want them to be, to the point of actually moving into the feeling that they are true, they will be felt and seen in your world. You must feel your desire as already realized, that they are already true, for the truth of any concept is knowing by the feeling of certainty that the thought is true. So it's the certainty in the thought that allows us to tap into the mystical power of infinite intelligence. As you believe, so it shall be done unto you. It's the certainty of the thought. It is not the things we do in the external world, but it is the certainty of the thought within that creates the external world. We can do things in the external world to amplify the certainty of the thought. However, it is the thought and the belief in the thought and the faith in the thought that brings it forth. That is the power right there. You may not know, again, how to bring it forth, but this is where you tap into the infinite intelligence that is available to bring it forth based on the certainty, the belief. One of the things that we have to do on this journey is constantly be questioning our beliefs. What are our beliefs? Where did we acquire them? Are they empowering beliefs or are they disempowering beliefs? Are they beliefs that connect us to the power of infinite intelligence, or are they beliefs that disconnect us from the power of infinite intelligence? Whatever you believe, it shall be done unto you. If you believe that you are disconnected or that infinite intelligence does not exist, you will find countless evidence in the external world to prove it so, because as you believe, so it shall be done unto you in people, environment, circumstance, and information. If you believe in the power of infinite intelligence, you will call it synchronicity, and you will see people, environment, circumstance, and information to validate it. And that's how it works. It is in the mind, and in the Kabbalion we say all is mind, and the mind is everything. The universe is mental. Charles Haanel says, "The world without is a reflection of the world within. What appears without is what has been found within. In the world within may be found infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite supply of all that is necessary, waiting for unfoldment, development, and expression. If you recognize these potentialities in the world within, they will take form in the world without." So what are we talking about here? We're talking about recognizing the potentialities of infinite intelligence that already exists within you. Okay, already exists within you. It has always already existed in you and always will exist in you. The question is, do you recognize and value the potentiality? Do you allow it to express itself and take form in the external world? Or do you choose to just work with the five sensory data, that what has been created in the external world, and rely upon that? If we rely upon only what has been created in the external world, then we limit ourselves. We're not working with infinite intelligence, which is found within. And the world within is the reflection, or the world without, I should say, is a reflection of the world within. So if you do not believe in infinite possibility, you're not going to see the infinite possibility in the external world. You have to believe in the infinite possibility within to see it in the external world and work with it in the external world. It comes from within. It starts from the world within. Now, when I reflect back on my journey, I will say that the reason why I was able to recognize this infinite intelligence is through the repetition of setting a definite chief aim and bringing it forth, and slowly by slowly tapping into the power of infinite intelligence, working with the power of infinite intelligence, realizing the power of infinite intelligence, and now primarily working with the power of infinite intelligence. Here's the thing. I believe every person's journey is different because we are infinite beings and we're dealing with infinite intelligence. We can guide each other, but the truth is this: we have a choice on what we want to believe. Whatever we experience via the five senses, including this information, and the meanings that you get, you have a choice to believe. And whatever you believe, it shall be done unto you in some shape or form via the subconscious mind. Always remember that the subconscious mind is always creating. That's the job of the subconscious mind. We impress the subconscious mind either through five sensory data and information or the imagination via the sixth sense, and it will express. That's the responsibility. It's the conscious mind that chooses. And as mentioned earlier, if you are constantly recreating the past subconsciously, you might think that you're choosing, but you're actually just choosing from past experiences. The goal here is to move into a more of an awakened state of conscious creation. So what you choose in your imagination is a conscious, especially if it is going beyond, and primarily if it's going beyond what you've created in your past. So by setting a definite chief aim and creating something you've never created before, you are working to recreate your life, and you're creating it based on the power of working with the subconscious mind by impressing it via the imagination, which will work with the faculties of the subconscious mind if needed for the repository of information that has been accumulated in there. Or if it does not have the information, it will go into infinite intelligence and pull that information. And then your subconscious mind will be impressed by infinite intelligence. And the more your subconscious mind is impressed by infinite intelligence, the more you will work with the power of infinite intelligence. And that's why creating a definite chief aim, having a desire to create something, as stated in Think and Grow Rich, is very important, not just for producing the result that you want, but this is a spiritual journey. We are related to the world within by the subconscious mind. The solar plexus is the organ of this mind. The sympathetic system of nerves presides over all subjective sensations such as joy, fear, love, emotion, respiration, imagination, and all other subconscious phenomena. It is through the subconscious that we are connected with the universal mind and brought into relation with the infinite constructive forces of the universe. So it's within the subconscious mind, the subjective mind, that we have connection to infinite intelligence. It is not within the conscious mind. The conscious mind impresses the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind expresses. And we can impress the subconscious mind consciously with our imagination, or our definite chief aim, or autosuggestion, or our subconscious mind programming. Whatever that you want to create, you can impress in your subconscious mind related to your desire via your imagination or something related consciously, and the subconscious mind will express it in whatever fastest, quickest, most efficient way it knows based on the belief systems that exist within the subconscious mind, and if needed, it works with infinite intelligence to bring it forth, which is the universal mind. So if your beliefs are in alignment with connecting with infinite intelligence, then what will happen is it will work more with infinite intelligence, and you won't limit yourself. This is the difference between someone who has a lot of hardship creating success versus somebody that creates success with ease. With ease, a lot of times they're working with the power of infinite intelligence. With hardship, they're trying to do things with the limited data that they have acquired in their subconscious mind from five sensory data plus meaning. They believe that all that exists that they have to work with to create the external world is only available within the five senses, and they have to accumulate more via the five senses, failing to realize that they have the power within and the connection to infinite intelligence that created all the five sensory data and meaning anyways, and they can tap into it and bring forth the result in ways that have never been done before. It is the coordination of these two centers of our being and the understanding of their functions, which is the great secret of life. With this knowledge, we can bring the objective and subjective minds into conscious cooperation and thus coordinate the finite and the infinite. Our future is entirely within our control. It is not at the mercy of any capricious or uncertain, It is not at the mercy of any capricious or uncertain external power. So our future is entirely within our control. We have to first believe it's possible. We have to remove limiting beliefs that deny this. And it is not at the mercy of anything in the external world. We create the external world. You could live as the cause or you could live as the effect. You could believe that the external world has some power over you or all power over you. It's up to you. Or you could believe that the external world has no power over you, and you can give the power back to yourself by believing that it comes from within via your beliefs. And then, as Neville put it, you will move into a certain state that represents it. Information, people, circumstance, environment will reflect that you do indeed have the power within. Why? Because they are always reflecting a mood within you, which is another concept of Neville, which is everyone is you pushed out. And what that means is that everybody is teaching you about yourself because everyone is a reflection of you in this existence. They represent you in various shapes or form. You might think that they're separate from you, but they are not. They are one with you, and they are a mirror to you. And that's not just people. That's environment, circumstance, and information representing you. When you change you within, all of that changes. Recognition is a mental process. Mental action is therefore the interaction of the individual upon the universal mind. And as the universal mind is the intelligence which pervades all space and animates all living things, this mental action and reaction is the law of causation. But the principle of causation does not obtain in the individual, but in the universal mind. It is not an objective faculty, but a subjective process. And the results are seen in an infinite variety of conditions and experiences. When you find that you are really one with the infinite power, and when you can consciously realize this power by practical demonstration of your ability to overcome any adverse condition by the power of your thought, you will have nothing to fear. Fear will have been destroyed, and you will have come into possession of your birthright. So again, reflecting upon my journey, I have far less fear now, or I have far less gripping of the 6 basic fears that was covered in Think and Grow Rich than ever before as a result of working with my imagination and the power within that I can call upon anytime, which is infinite intelligence, to solve any problem that I have and create any outcome, knowing that everything already exists, always will exist, and the external world will represent itself, the all that is that already exists, via the state in my mind. So by going into the state in my mind and believing in the state in my mind and removing any limiting beliefs in the state in my mind, then I will experience a bridge of incidences and different experiences as I believe to bring it forth. For example, I believe that money comes as a result of entrepreneurship. And that is my belief, and I enjoy it. So that is how I earn my money. If I believed that it would show up in another way, or if I opened up my mind into a possibility that it would show up in another way, it will be done unto me. It's up to you to decide how, or you could leave it up to the power of infinite intelligence. The choice is yours because this is your life. And when you consciously realize that this is how it works, and you put it to use with everything in your life to bring yourself into a state of harmony, and you continuously do so, then you are working with this possession, or you're working with this power, which is your birthright, the ability to tap into infinite intelligence that already exists within you. And the more you rely on yourself within to solve the problems and not be reactive to the external world, but rather responsive from within, you are working with the infinite intelligence. See, this external world can seem in the beginning very reactive and like it's happening to us. We can seem so much at the whim. But as you evolve in this journey, you're going to find that this external world just looks like a mirror. And you're not having that much of a grip on the external world. You're touching the external world delicately, but you're not gripping the external world. You're not trying to force the external world, which is a sign of insecurity. Insecurity just means that you don't believe that you have the power within you to change reality to be in your favor. And now that we're going through this process and everything else we've discussed on all the other videos, it helps you get into the cause-based reality and realizing that no matter what anybody says or information, people, circumstances that denies that you don't have the power, that is only because it is a manifestation of past information that's in your subconscious mind that's materializing to deny the fact that you have power within. And you can change the power within by changing the programming in your subconscious mind, and you'll see less and less of that information that denies the fact. So Napoleon Hill says, Through a method of procedure unknown to man, the subconscious mind draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for the power with which it voluntarily transmutes one's desire into their physical equivalent, making use always the most practical media by which the end may be accomplished. So a lot of times we don't have to know how, or if we're working with the power of infinite intelligence, we don't have to know how it's going to be brought forth. It will be brought forth via the power of infinite intelligence. And to the degree it's brought forth is based on our belief systems and our skill and ability to work with this power, which is what we're learning. And once you have a certain level of mastery of the power, you're going to notice that infinite intelligence will show up, give you the hunch, inspiration, move things around in this external world reality through bridge of incidents to bring forth what you desire. Strange and varied are the ways of life, and stranger still are the ways of infinite intelligence, through which men are sometimes forced to undergo all sorts of punishment before discovering their own brains and their own capacity to create useful ideas through imagination. Now, why is this the case? Well, in earlier stages of life, most of us have been around disempowering information, people, circumstance, and society, and whatever, that causes us to believe that reality works a certain way. This information goes and impresses itself on the subconscious mind and continuously expresses. Then when we come across some personal development information or information designed to help us create the world that we desire, we're fighting, or so it appears we're fighting against this past programming, and we usually project it out in the external world and believe we're fighting with other people, but we're not. We're fighting with ourselves within. The moment we shift over to changing the cause within, we start to release that past programming that is constantly expressing itself with the subconscious mind. And what's then being expressed is the positive programming. And that's why I really recommend watching that video that I did on the 7-day mental diet by Emmett Fox. By releasing yourself from the need to dwell upon negative thoughts, you release the impressions on the subconscious mind. You let go of the further impressions on the subconscious mind of the different elements that do not serve you for recreation in the external world. And a lot of these things that are disempowering deny, and it'll appear in people, environment, circumstance, information, experience, and seem contrarian and even holding you back from what you want to create. That's the illusion. It appears that the external world is holding you back from what you want to create. The truth is that it's the subconscious mind programming within that is expressing outward that appears to hold you back, and we have to change the subconscious programming within. When we change the subconscious programming within, we tap more into the power of infinite intelligence. Again, infinite intelligence being mystical ways beyond comprehension and understanding of how the end result is going to be brought forth, which right there is the power of God. Faith is the head chemist of the mind. When faith is blended with the vibration of thought, the subconscious mind instantly picks up the vibration, translates it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, as in the case of prayer. So thought is sent to infinite intelligence. It taps into infinite intelligence. And as a result of the thought that you have, if it does not exist, the ideas, the ways to be brought forth via the subconscious mind from current accumulated information, or if there's a better way based on current or that goes beyond the current information that's in your subconscious mind, because you believe it is going to happen, it will be brought forth. Now, as you believe it will be brought forth, so as you believe it will be brought forth in the most harmonious way possible, it will be brought forth in the most harmonious way possible. Infinite intelligence will come in and bring it forth in the most miraculous way to be harmonious with what you desire. Faith is the element, the chemical which, when mixed with prayer, gives one direct communication with infinite intelligence. So faith is going beyond any contrarian meaning that you have accumulated via the 5 senses. It doesn't matter where you get this information from. If it denies the vision that you want to create, it is impressing itself in the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind will further express. You have a choice whether you want to accept this information or not. And we transcend that with faith. If any information denies that you are able to create exactly what you desire, we go into faith and believe in our mind and look for the evidence, and we can find it in the external world if you look for it, Because there's a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. This doesn't just apply for a person. This applies for information. This applies for circumstance. When you believe that your way is going to be brought forth and you hold that at a higher regard beyond five sensory data, you honor that, and that goes into direct communication. That is called prayer. That is prayer right there. And it goes into direct communication with infinite intelligence to be brought forth. If you fill your mind with fear, doubt, and unbelief in your ability to connect with and use the forces of infinite intelligence, the law of autosuggestion will take the spirit of unbelief and use it as a pattern by which your subconscious mind will translate it into its physical equivalent. So if you've got fears, doubts, unbelief, hesitation, indecision that holds you back from creating what you desire, then you can cleanse that out of your subconscious mind. You can reprogram your subconscious mind, release it, so that you then tap into the power of infinite intelligence. If you have fears, doubts, and indecision, it will crystallize and materialize in the external world, not to hold you back. It'll appear that way, but to reveal to you about yourself. As James Allen said, circumstance does not make the man, it reveals him to himself. So the external world is revealing to you about yourself. So what do you want the external world to reveal to you? What is the state that you want to experience in the external world, knowing that that state is a representation, a mirror of the state within? And I am sure that fear, doubt, and unbelief has nothing to do with that which you want to create, your own desire, your own personal vision that you want to see brought forth. It has nothing to do with it. And if it has something to do with it, it will translate itself in the physical equivalent in the external world, the outer world, to represent itself, because that's all the subconscious mind does. And by releasing the programming within, it no longer presents itself in the physical external world. When the plans appear, they will probably flash into your mind through the sixth sense in the form of an inspiration. This inspiration may be considered a direct telegram or message from infinite intelligence. Treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. So when you continuously cleanse your subconscious mind of fears, doubts, and indecision on the pathway, I'm not talking about cleansing all fears, doubts, and indecision. I'm saying what is inharmonious to what you create. So you might not want to release a fear of heights and just walk onto the edge of the building and just jump off. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fears related to what you want to create. You don't need to have fear, doubt, and indecision along the journey of what you are looking to create. All of that, the manifestations in the external world of fear, doubt, and unbelief or disbelief or doubt, is a net result of the programming that is within. By releasing it, then we tap into the power of infinite intelligence. We allow infinite intelligence to appear and present itself in the subconscious mind through your inner voice, through hunches, through inspiration. And I know this is a fact because I experience this more and more each day. And if I am asked what causes me to experience this more and more each day, it's because I have released fears, doubts, and indecision, knowing that I operate in the spirit of harmony to the benefit of all, and thus I don't have to question myself or explain myself. I know that all my desires are harmonious and it will be brought forth, and infinite intelligence shows up to show me how to bring it forth. So when the plans appear, they probably appear as a flash, voice, something, creative inspiration within. It shows up within. And that you can consider to be a telegram or a message from infinite intelligence. And it says, treat it with respect and act upon it as soon as you receive it. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Cleanse the subconscious mind of fears, doubts, and indecision. Know that what you desire to create in your imagination is for you, and it will be brought forth because there's an infinite array of possibilities that already exist in this world. It may appear that we're going through life in this kind of linear fashion, but there are infinite states in the external world, and there's infinite states within. And even if five sensory data cannot prove it, you can prove it to yourself and make this an exercise and do this again and again and again. The world within reflects the world without. And the denial of the reflection of the conscious world within that you choose is based on beliefs that deny it. Man may become the master of himself and to his environment because he has the power to influence his own subconscious mind, and through it gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence. So you impress your mind by focusing on what you want to create, by impressing your subconscious mind with all that is harmonious to it. And as a result of it, you gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence because it must express itself. The subconscious mind must express itself, and if it does not have access to the information via the subconscious mind, it will go to infinite intelligence and bring it forth because that's what it does. It expresses. The creative imagination. Through the faculty of the creative imagination is what we're talking about, is what Napoleon Hill is talking about, it's what Charles Haanel is talking about, it's what Neville is talking about. Through this faculty, the creative imagination, imagining what you want to create, it says the finite mind of man has direct communication with infinite intelligence. See, all you really need in this world to create what you want is infinite intelligence. You don't need anything from this external world. The external world has been created by the inner world anyways. And you can work with infinite intelligence directly through your creative imagination. Everything that has ever been created in this world, and I'll speak from my own experience and my clients that I've worked with in consulting and coaching, and I've worked with thousands of them, all of them have created the results based on their imagination. I cross-referenced each and every one of them. It was always, the cause was within in the imagination, every last one of them. And it is the faculty through which hunches and inspirations are received. And it is by this faculty that all basic or new ideas are handed over to man. So the creative imagination is what we work with. The creative imagination allows us to tap into infinite intelligence, and five sensory data may deny it, but we have to release that programming so it doesn't appear that it's denying, but rather it's on our side as a revelation of self on what we can do within ourselves to evolve ourselves to strengthen the connection with infinite intelligence. If you want to copy this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.